I'm Kay Bess, and this is The Beehive. Women in voiceover, the voices of the fairer sex that keep the wheels of commerce and creativity moving in this country. Voices you hear every day, but names you likely don't know until now. Good day to you, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me. Long time no podcast. I have a series of, I think I have about 10 outstanding podcasts that I need to get to you before the end of the year. I think I mentioned this in my last podcast, but it's been a really busy year for me, and that's been a great thing. I have ventured into new territories in voiceover. I'm working on a couple games, and I just landed some animation, which is it's a Christmas miracle. Anyway, I have to say, I am so reluctant to hand over the editing of my podcasts to other people because I'm always looking for the nuance of the guest that's on. And I also want to make sure that they're sort of accurately represented in the podcast. And sometimes when you're having a conversation with someone that's very organic and just kind of flows out, we tend to say things that might be too divulgent, if you will, of personal information and stuff like that. And so I take all that stuff very seriously and want to make sure that my guests are super happy with the content that is in the podcast that is representing them. So there's this piece of me that knows I could get podcasts out to you much quicker when I'm in a busy phase if I handed over my editing to someone else. So I may still do that and then sort of have a final, like a final say and a final review before it goes out. That may be the answer. I may have just worked that out for myself right here with all of you. So thank you for indulging. I'm super happy to present to you today a fantastic woman in voiceover who seriously flies under the radar because she's not a voice actor. She is one of those very important and special people that helps people have careers in voiceover. She is an engineer, she is a voiceover instructor, and she is the maker of demos, fantastic demos, I might say. A woman with a set of great ears and some fantastic engineering skills. From Voicetrax West in Los Angeles, California, Susan Palyo.
Hi, everybody.
Susan she's kind of a big deal in the Los Angeles voiceover market because she is an engineer at Voicetrax West, which is a prominent, well-known, well-respected voiceover recording studio. And Susan also does VO demos, commercial, narration, promo, animation, gaming, you name it. She does it, and she does great work. I've actually used her a couple times for my demos, and I'll be calling her again when I need to update some things. But Susan brings a really unique perspective to the world of voiceover because she engineers for us. She sits in and listens, and she directs voice talent. So I'm really glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
And excited for you to share your perspective with us. It's a little bit different, right? We're not really going to talk about how you went through acting school, I assume, right?
No, I actually was a music major.
Oh, okay.
So
that matters.
That's how I came to it. I came to it from the recording side.
Right.
And moved here from Springfield, Illinois, and I moved out here right out of college. And I went to this small school in Illinois called Millikin University. Mm-hmm. And my freshman year, we built a recording studio on campus. And I already knew that's what I wanted to do, but then I really knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I moved out here and worked at some weird jobs. And then I was working at Cherokee Studios, which was a famous rock and roll studio.
Yeah.
I'd been married to my husband for about a year at that time, and I was working about 100 hours a weekend, so never saw him. And
oh, my goodness.
I said, I'm going to get a normal job during the daytime. So came across Voicetrax West, and I've been there ever since. Kind of started as just the engineer, and then there were other people who were the demo producers, and over the years then people would be like, oh, I just want to work with you. I like you. And then Cindy Akers, who was the demo producer 20 years ago, she was adopting a child. I was having a child, and she was transitioning to being a stay-at-home mom and sort of just turned over all of the production to me. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Voice Trax West is a storied recording studio. That's where I first met Thom Pinto.
Yes.
Which, I told Thom the other day, I'm like, you show up in all of my podcasts. I mean, or if ever I'm interviewed, it's always goes back to Thom Pinto when it was on Cahuenga.
Yes.
And that's where you were, right? Because that's
I've been
when
there for 27 years.
Yeah. So you started when it was
with Thom.
on. Oh, you started with Thom.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought that you started when Cindy got there.
No.
Wow.
I started when it was Thom and Nick Omana.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I wonder if you engineered me.
Probably. I think so. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It has already been around for almost 10 years as a studio when I came around. So
you can't be that old. That's impossible. It is. It's
I started
impossible.
there when I was 10.
Okay.
So
all right.
This
is like I started in voiceover when I was 10.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. I wonder if you did. I think I did my first demo with Thom in like 1985.
Yeah, I started there in 90.
Oh, okay. All right, I am. I was like, I know I'm older than you. I just know it.
I don't know.
I am. No, I am. Trust me on this, but we won't talk about age anymore. We won't do that. So I am just so curious what it's like for you and the kinds of things that you have learned sitting in on all these sessions, because you do. I mean, your job is so multifaceted. Yeah. You do sit at the helm when you are helping talent to create pieces for demos. And you also work with clients in sessions where, the client has hired the voice talent. And I'm curious what that's been like for you. And I'm curious about the relationship that you have between client, how much do they seek your input in terms of takes that they like, or
well, when you're acting as the engineer, it's pretty much your job to stay out of the way as much as possible. So just make sure that it sounds really good and you're keeping track of the takes and things. Once in a while they'll ask for your opinion, but usually you just keep it to yourself. As the engineer. So but over all those years of engineering all those sessions, I heard many different directing styles. We had a client, this was back on the Cahuenga studio, that he was a really nice guy. I didn't have any problem with him or anything, but I always knew which take he was going to pick because it was the one that I liked the least. and they were all fine. It was
right.
It was, but like I always knew. I'm like, I said, you like that one, right? And he's like, yeah.
That's so funny.
It would be like the one that I wouldn't pick, and and then we'd edit together. It was like a retail thing, a retail gig with the same talent. I think it was weekly even.
Yeah.
And it would edit it together, and it would sound terrific and great. And so actually from those kinds of experiences, I learned to sometimes let the take that isn't the one that maybe is the way I would do it, the way I would do it, or the way I would hear it, to consider that one in the demos.
Right.
So that it's not always just them trying to sound like me or the way I would do it.
Right.
And I learned to just really let the talent shine and do things their own way. I have some students over the course of the years, and they'll self-censor as they're doing the take.
Yes.
And it's always the take that I'm loving.
Right.
And then they just don't like an inflection or something, and they stop, and I'm like, no,
don't
stop. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And so
that's such a good point, because I know in the little bit of coaching that I do, it's the same. It's like just telling people like, oh, stop monitoring yourself and just go, and you do have to learn it. I mean, as a voice talent, to just let go and let it happen, unless you've stumbled, but just go, That's so interesting. Yeah.
And even if you've stumbled, don't, be like, oh, sorry. Blah, blah, blah. No,
right.
Just pick it back up and go.
Yeah, exactly. Stop with the judgment of yourself, Yeah.
So I learned that to, really consider different takes and then, also just keeping up with the styles of what's going on.
Yes.
currently, I don't know what you've been discussing with your other podcast people, but I feel like there's not a specific style right now as much as there was. Like the last 5 or 6 years was, the very understated, don't smile, don't do anything. And I'm hearing a lot more smile and sell, even though all the scripts still say non-announcery. But then you hear it on TV or radio, or usually TV, and it's super selly from what the audition was. And
it's a really interesting phenomenon that I've talked with other voice actors about. What you're asked for on the audition is so often not what ends up on the air.
Yeah.
And that, so when you're listening to what has been booked, you can't always assume that that's what they're going to want in an audition. They might hire you because you had an unusual, non-selly kind of audition. Then you get the gig and it's sell, right?
Yeah.
So you can be fooled, actually, in thinking that what's on the air is going to make what sells an audition. And so they're kind of two different beasts in a way, which requires flexibility on the part of the voice actor, right?
Well, and there's also the aspect of it. I'm sure you've auditioned a few times with Art, right?
Yeah.
So
Art used to be my booth director at Sandy Schnarr Talent, now AVO.
Art helps people at Voice Trax with their auditions, and I do once in a while, but I'm pretty busy with demos usually, so I can't always do it. But we both always tell people, read the specs and then throw them out the window.
Yes,
and just do it how you think it's going to do on the air. In the age of Hulu and Netflix, it's you got to keep watching and listening, and even if you just go on YouTube and start watching random videos, so that ads come up, so that you can hear them.
Yes, exactly.
Because you need
That's
to know.
a great place to watch ads, actually.
Yeah, or just go on iSpot, and if you don't know about that, iSpot.tv, you go on there, and there's one of the pages is the top current ads or whatever, and you just go on there and listen to them, and
and you can search ads too on iSpot.tv.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
Yeah,
to see what's going on, or just seeing what the style is, and because I feel like they just copy and paste the specs half the time, and they don't really know what they're looking for, and so not being afraid to put out maybe that take that isn't exactly to the specs,
right?
If you have
what's going to make an audition stand out, right?
Or if your agent lets you do 2, send the safe one and then the out of the box one. I've had this conversation with talent agents and casting people over the years of, should you put the out of the box one first? Should you put the safe one first? Nobody knows the answer, but
it depends.
But especially I think when the more vague the specs are, the more you got to just go, this is the way I'm doing it, and be committed to it.
Right.
Not trying to fit into their perky, but not too bright.
Right.
20 to 50 years old sounding. You just got to go, this is the way I sound.
Yeah, this is me.
And putting your personality in a little bit within the realm of whatever the product is.
Right,
and,
right.
If it's McDonald's, you're going to smile a bunch. If it's healthcare, you're going to be warm and fuzzy.
And the difference between branded spots, image spots is very different. Sometimes you don't even say the product name, and they tend to be a little more intimate, close up on the mic, like all of that, taking into account what the spot is, what is it for, what's the product, is it regional, is it national, is it local? All those things kind of come to bear on a piece of copy. But I think you're sort of bringing to the fore the importance of just knowing who you are, and that if your agent gave you this spot, it's because they think you're right for it. So you do you, boo.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can't second guess, but you just have to do what you do.
I forgot what the original question we were talking about was, but did I finish answering?
Well, I love it when podcasts go off on different tangents in different directions. I think it was just about
over the years. We were talking about over the years of what
what's your relationship with the client?
So back to that.
Yeah.
So on the ISDN sessions where it's just the engineer and the talent, and we're staring at each other through the windows and
making faces.
I'm trying to give the talent I get thumbs up. I really like that one. Or if the clients are chatting among themselves, I can mute my send to them and talk to the talent and give them a little feedback.
That's a very important button, that mute button.
Yeah. If we have a eye rolling moment, we can look at each other and be like, oh, really?
That was take number 50.
Yeah, pretty sure they had it back on take 2.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Oh, so that was perfect. One more for safety.
yeah.
Right? Isn't that the line?
Yeah. But most of the clients are pretty good.
Yeah.
Not overdoing the takes, and especially like radio commercial clients, they are probably putting it out that afternoon.
Yeah,
or the next
they know
morning,
what they want. Yeah, they're very clear.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that. That's been my experience as well.
And then we have a lot at Voicetrax. We have several clients that have been our clients for. We have one that's been over 20 years, our client, and CBNS Advertising, and they do. Here in town, it's the Ralph's Advertising. But it's all the chains in the Kroger stores, and then some other things too that they do. And it's been the same guys for the 20 years, and so we're best friends with them. And we've met a couple times in person, but so we have some chit chat amongst ourselves before the session starts. And we know what they're going to like and what they're looking for. So we kind of even give the talent a little heads up if they're a new talent.
Right. Do you help in casting?
Not very often.
Not very often.
That client and a couple others, if they're looking for somebody, they might ask us, who do you know that does such and such well? But most of the time, the talent is already cast. We do some projects that we do cast, but we're contacted directly to cast, but we're not a casting place per se.
Got it. Do people come to you asking advice about home studios?
Yes.
And so what are your favorite pieces of equipment?
Well, the lovely microphone that you have is wonderful. The Sennheiser 416. That's what we have at the studio, but they're very expensive. So, if you're looking for a lesser expensive microphone, I usually recommend the Blue Yeti or the AT2020. And there's a newer one that somebody just recommended to me, and I can't remember now what it is. I mean, those are both about a little over $100 to get you going. They sound good. The
AT2020, is that a USB mic? It is.
Those are both USB mics.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you don't need a preamp or anything. Also the Apogee MIC mic. Okay,
yeah. I had one of those.
Yeah.
I can't remember where it is, but I still have it.
And the nice thing about that is you get a little software with that helps you, it has a few little extras, bells and whistles for your recording.
Right.
All of those are great. As I always tell people, though, you can spend as much as you want on the microphone, but your performance is what matters. People are sitting in their cars, recording on their iPhones, booking jobs.
Yeah.
So,
but you better be good if you're sitting in your car on your, on your iPhone.
But, and then, software-wise, if you have a PC, Audacity, it's free. I've heard it's improved a little bit from the last time that I used it. It frustrated me the last time I looked into using it. But if it's what you're used to, and it's free, it's very good for free. And, I do everything on Pro Tools, so that's what I'm used to. Adobe Audition, and then Twisted Wave for the Macs and iPads and stuff. It's pretty standard. And
I also like Sound Studio, which is very, very similar to Twisted Wave. It's about the same price range. It's like $80 download. And it's super simple.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Adobe Audition now is a monthly fee or something. So, people are kind of gearing away from that, I think.
Yes. I understand that to be the case. And there are a couple people I know who loved that and who were sort of like, I can't update my computer because then I'll lose my, then I have to pay for it. So I do think Twisted Wave, well, I'm a Mac person, so Twisted Wave has been great.
Yeah.
So.
And then what, you have a PreSonus? Is that your preamp? No,
that's just my little headphone thing.
What do you have for your preamp?
Duet by Apogee.
Yeah. That one's really good. And then a lot of people like the Scarlett.
Yes, I've heard that.
If you're going for something non-USB with your mic. So.
Yeah. Have you ever seen this? I'm sure you have. This is my favorite. I travel with it, right? The Shure X2U. Have you seen these?
I have not seen that. There's
another
one.
A little geek moment here.
Another one that I recommend that you can plug directly into a phone. Even is it's by Audio-Technica as well. The AT9913S, and it's a little tiny microphone. It looks like a miniature version of the 416. It's about 3 inches long.
And it's long. It's not. I have one that has sort of a rounded.
No, it's about 3 inches long.
Okay.
And,
and you can plug it right into the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty good for what it is, and it's only like $60. And
that's great.
So,
well, this little thing, right? You plug your XLR microphone into it, and then this is USB. So then you do everything from here: monitor and headphone volume and all that
that's
kind of good
great.
stuff. So I travel with it. This is what I travel with on it, with a tiny little, and it's fantastic. And I bring my 416.
Yeah,
And that's
great.
this is sort of the biggest piece in the puzzle, right? And it's nothing. It's like a little backpack, and I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's super fantastic. So good. There's a little studio geek moment. I'm curious your feeling about the wow, just left me. The oh wow, come on, K-Bass. The Neumann
The U87?
TLM
TLM 103?
103.
Yeah, it's a very good mic. We have some clients at the studio that actually request it for certain projects because of the frequency range that it. We almost always use it on talking toys because it doesn't pick up those super low frequencies that aren't in the human voice. So they have to do a lot less processing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's a really nice microphone. Again, a little more expensive, but
yeah, it's sort of in the.
It's what, $350? Less than that?
No, it's more.
Okay.
Yeah, the TLM 103 is like between $600 and $700.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm after that microphone. I think I want one. But I have to. I have to find the money. I got to sell something and get the money. Yeah. So this is how it works, right? My husband is a drummer, so he's constantly, I have to get this snare, and then he's like, what can I sell to get the snare? And then he'll, sell something else. He'll get the snare. And then 3 months later, he'll be like, I found a snare. And then he sells the snare he just bought 3 months ago. It's like, oh my God, you just stick to the kit you have, it all works. So it's a little obsessive, but I do like microphones. So
yeah, the 103 is very nice and it's, good and portable as well. And it's good for, if you do video game auditions and things, it can really handle those high levels.
Cool.
Really nicely.
That is great to know. And that's actually one of the reasons why I want one, because the more video game stuff I do and the more, this isn't so great for that. It's like. Yeah,
you have to be careful with your preamp and stuff with the 416.
Yeah, and I'm not an engineer.
The TLM is what we call a large diaphragm microphone.
Yes.
So the thing that picks up your voice is bigger, and so it can just handle more sound pressure without distorting. Just that's the way it's designed.
Nobody ever just explained it to me in simple terms like that before, Susan. I appreciate that because I'm like, how come I can't get what I want out of this mic? But I just have always known that this is the mic, like promo mic. Kind of you're on it.
I use the 416 for everything. Animation demos, everything.
Everything.
I'm sure we used it on your demo, unless we used the U87, but I don't think so.
I love the U87. That's a mic. That's an expensive mic.
I like the 416 better. Even.
More than the U87?
Yeah. It's a little, to me, it's just like I got a little crispness to it. That I like better. Yeah. And, when I'm making the demos, I'm changing EQs on everything too and purposely rolling things off and purposely kind of trying to make things sound not as good sometimes just so that they sound like they're from different sources.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's pretty important.
And the 416, I can always go back to having everything there. So that's why I like it. I can always add more. I can take stuff away. And because I came to it from the technical side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's been an interesting, 15 years or so in that voice actors have become engineers, in quotes, because I don't know anything about anything. And I look at the stuff on even in Twisted Wave and I go, what if I hit this? What's it going to do? I have no idea how to, roll off the bottom end or, what I'm saying? Nothing like that.
Well, it's interesting. I was just counseling somebody who was sending me auditions from home and I'm like, this sounds weird. Like, just send it to me without doing anything to it. And it sounded so much better. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing to this? You're doing too much. Just put a little bit, it's called a high pass filter, which rolls off the low end. It's high pass. It's letting the higher frequencies
goes through.
So I do a high pass filter at about 75 hertz. Below that is just room noise. And then just a normalization. They all have normalize. Yeah. You want to do a super light compression, but then you got to start figuring out how to do compression. Normalize just kind of does it. So you do a roll off and a normalize, usually good to go.
And a normalize at what level? Like, where do you put the... does that even make sense to you? What I'm asking you.
Because I only use Pro Tools. That's the only one I'm really familiar. Like it doesn't. It has a choice. I mean, I just do it to full up to zero.
Okay, to zero. All right, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
And just make sure nothing sounds distorted. Always listen back after you do the processing.
Always.
Just make sure Before you send your audition, listen back, make sure you didn't miss an edit or something.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I never put on an engineer hat. I always say, I'm sending you there's nothing on it. Like I'm sending you the file, and I have to wait until trucks go by, and airplanes fly overhead, and the leaf blowers are gone. But other than that, I don't mess with it. And so,
and I'm sure you have a great microphone, and so I'm sure everything sounds really good.
Yeah,
so
I could improve the room a little bit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty nice because again, it's about the performance, not your microphone. Your microphone isn't going to book the job for you.
Yeah,
your performance is going to book the job for you. People get so caught up in the technology part of it.
Yeah. It's like, you do want to have something that's simply acceptable in the playing field in terms of your equipment, right?
Recording it on Radio Shack tape recorder from 1972.
Yeah,
but
that's not really going to work. Yeah.
but yeah, focus more on the performance. All these microphones and things we've talked about, some are way less expensive and they're just perfectly
fine.
Good if your performance is good.
Listen, I know some high booking voice actors in gaming and stuff. I was like, what kind of microphone do you use? Well, I use the Apogee. It's a USB mic, and you go, okay, that's it. You're absolutely right. It is about your performance.
Yeah,
it really is. So do you have any tales to tell out of school about like sessions that went wrong? You can go back a couple decades just to play it safe.
There was one. This was back on Cahuenga. There was
one a long time ago. In other words,
we've been at the quote unquote new location since 2001. So sometime before 2001, there was a session where the talent was. I don't even remember, what the deal was with them, but they just weren't getting it. They weren't good. In the middle of the session, it was just me and the talent, and the people were on the phone patch. The producer, who I could tell was extremely frustrated as well, and I kind of knew the producer from a couple other sessions. And I'm like, I am so sorry. Somebody needs to ask me the super quick question. Just give me one little second. I got to run out to the lobby for 2 seconds, and I literally ran out to the lobby just to go.
Just to scream.
Like this silent screams.
Oh my God.
The talent couldn't see me do it because I just had to get, and I knew the producer knew what I was doing. And I just had to get on from it for a second.
Yeah.
And I literally went out there for 2 seconds and came. And that's super unprofessional for an engineer.
Do not leave the room. So how did it end?
I think they just did a few more takes and
they just wrapped it.
Re-recorded it the next day.
Yeah, with another talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I recall. I can't totally remember, but
it's crazy.
But most of the time, hundreds of people have auditioned. They pick somebody who's pretty good. And even if they're not, they stick with it until they get what they want.
Yeah.
Here's a good story, a positive story.
Oh, good.
This was just a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it was a dialogue session, and one of the talent was at Voicetrax, and the other talent was in Chicago, I think it was. So we were all hooked up by ISDN boxes, and it was like a dad and his teenage son, and then the teenage son was the guy at Voicetrax. He was a little older than a teenager, but and they did a take. It was perfect. The talent and I look at each other. We knew it was perfect. The producer comes on and he says, "That was it." He's like, "I'm going to do another take, but I really think that was it." And if we did another take, and he's like, "Nope, we're done." So, yeah.
That's awesome.
The only one take session that I've
is fantastic.
Done. Yeah, it was so good. It wasn't going to get any better.
Yeah.
And the dialogue,
so great that an engineer and and the client can both see that and not belabor this thing.
Yeah.
Just because they should. They have some sense of obligation to it. But it's like if you really know what you want and you get it, call it good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Oh, I've worked for people who and for years I worked with this one producer on some stuff, and man, I would always try to second guess him. I mean, I got to know him so well that I was like, I know what he's going to ask for, so I'm going to give that to him first. And no matter what I did, even if I gave him what I knew he was going to ask for, he would ask for it again in the same way. It was sort of like, I just did that. That's what I did, you know. And I would do take after take after take. And then I think it was after like year 4 of working with this guy that he was like, okay, as I sort of realized after listening back to all these sessions, I usually pick the first or second take, and I'm like, oh my God, 4 years of you making me do 30 takes and you always pick the first or second. Like, why,
Yeah.
Something about that.
Because it's the energy is there, you know? And especially if they are using you over and over, they like you for whatever it is you're bringing to it.
Right.
So my other words of wisdom for home recording people, send take 2. Don't be on take 10 and editing from take 10, 12, 15.
Yeah.
I would say send take 2, and people look at me in horror and like, my take 2 is terrible. I'm like, no. If you're editing from multiple, a couple of takes you can edit from.
Sure.
But, if you're editing every sentence from take after take.
This, you're Frankensteining your takes, right?
Yeah. And it's like doing a play, You go out there and you do your performance, and then if somebody says, go out and do it again right now, it's not going to be as good because you had that energy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now you just did your play and you just put your heart and soul into it, and you're like, oh, really? I got to gather that up again?
Okay. At least let me go home and sleep for 8 hours. So what was it like during the commercial strike, 2000? Was there a shift in your business? In the way that things worked, I feel like that was a strangely critical time. The strike, the presence of voicebank.net, so many things changed the voiceover landscape. And I'm just curious if it affected a voiceover recording studio.
It was a long time ago. You're making me remember
I know,
these
sorry.
things. Because that would have been the last year at the old Voicetrax West, and my daughter was young, and so I had transitioned at that point to only doing the demos, basically. So I actually feel like, if I recall, I was actually kind of busier because people were like, oh, well, now I've got some downtime. I'm going to get my career going and get my demos. Get ready and have the voiceover demo ready for when this strike is over. So I feel like I was pretty busy at that time.
Yeah.
Commercially, I'm sure we were down somewhat, but, again, we have a lot of regular clients that do retail stuff, and so they were still going, and we do tons of union and tons of non-union stuff. We had things to keep us going, and I can't remember specifically. Like I said, I kind of almost recall that I actually became busy because of doing a lot of demos.
Well, it's funny because that for me that strike was I had just booked a really big syndicated promo TV show, right, which had nothing to do with the commercial strike, right? Nothing. Yeah. So I booked probably one of the biggest jobs of my life during that strike. And then I was the spokesperson for Hyundai for a couple of years, right, in that span of time. And they knew the strike was coming. And so they recorded a boatload of spots before the date of the beginning of the strike, and then they ran them. And it was like, I had my best year. I had my best year in the year of the strike when friends around me were losing their houses, and it was terrible. But I was like, what? I was very, very lucky. So it's true. If you diversify, that kind of matters.
We were still able to record, we don't do a ton of video game things, but it was kind of, the video games were kind of getting started at that time.
Yes, absolutely they were. Yeah.
And so we were doing some game things, if I recall, and some animation things. And I'm sure, I think Cindy and Jan were still the owners, because that was when we had to move. I'm sure if you asked Cindy and Jan, they would have other memories about it, that the books were tight. We have Voicetrax has diversifies. We have classes and demos, and then our commercial sessions. And nowadays we record so many different things. We do a lot of phone system-y things and talking device things. We do a lot of that. We do a little bit of animation and game things, but most of the bigger game studios have their own studios and things. Yeah. And we do a lot of things like India, games out of India.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then we do radio and TV commercials. Yeah. And then a lot of TV documentary things.
Right.
We have a good relationship with History Channel, Nat Geo History. Great. They're all owned by the same company, and so.
Oh, I'm so covetous of those jobs.
Yeah,
I read on them all the time. I think my time is coming. Yeah. Well, it's funny because as you mentioned earlier, how trends change, and that for a long time things were sort of kind of deadpan, not dead, but sort of like a no inflection kind of a read, and how it's coming back to being. And I always like to maintain that, again, if you just do what you do will come back around.
Yes.
You do have to understand the trends, and you do adapt, and you're got to be a little bit malleable. But I have the voice I have, and so you work with what you have, you adapt what you have, but know that this is my voice, right? So my style of reading will come back,
Yes.
So you just got to hang on for the long ride, right?
Yeah. When one trend is going on in advertising and then your read comes along their desk and this is different. I like it. So
right. Yeah.
Then you become the trend, and then
yes.
No, I'm the trend, and
people in advertising, those chairs change people so rapidly.
Yeah.
I think it's part of, I'm really impressed with people who have like seriously solid commercial careers based on the relationship between, the producer, because like, I can't keep track of it. Like how many times have I said, I would really like a copy of that Sears spot I just did. And you send the thing and go, hey, Sarah, would love to get a copy. Sorry, Sarah doesn't work here anymore. Yeah. It's like nobody's, it was just a week ago, I mean, that's a little crazy.
We could do another whole podcast about how the advertising industry is changing now. And we kind of touched on it already with the Hulu and the Netflix and things. And so, it's... the
whole landscape has changed. I mean, when I think about, this is like a golden age of television. There are so many great shows, and so few of them are on network television.
Yeah.
They're on Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu. And, it's like, wow, this is really... I mean, all you got to do is look at all the nominees for the Golden Globes, and it's crazy.
But the bad thing for the actors of those is they're not getting the big bucks for them.
They are not.
The good thing for the voiceover actors and advertising is eventually they're going to figure out that they need to get money to produce these shows and not advertise them.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, lots of shifting going on.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what is to come? Somebody knows. I bet Jeff Bezos knows. Does he own everything? So what was it like to have been firmly entrenched in a career and then discover you're pregnant? How did having children affect your career?
Since I only have the one, it wasn't too bad. But, at the time I was the full-time engineer, and I think we had already brought on the wonderful Kevin Cleland of Mai Tai Studios, but he came around right around that time on board. It might have been after I said I was pregnant that we hired him, but Cindy was already kind of transitioning me to be the demo producer, and I kind of didn't want to do it because I like engineering, and I'm just kind of a techno geek, and I liked doing that. So she was like, well, come on, take over the producing. It's the perfect thing because you'll be much more flexible, and you can be much more flexible with your time. And so I reluctantly took over the producing reins, and now I'm completely glad that I did, and I enjoy it much more than I thought I would. And having the good fortune to work at Voicetrax West and be able to basically come and go whenever I need to, and
schedule things according to
So
your own plan.
Was really fortunate over the years to just be able to do that. And like one summer, my daughter had many issues with summer camp over the years, and so I basically just let her not go to summer camp for a whole summer. And so I would go in, I would go in the daytime to record people, and she would just come along. She was like 9 or 10 or somewhere around in there, 8, 9 or 10, somewhere around in there. And so she would come to the studio, hang out while I would record or whatever, and then I would go in the nights from 6 o'clock and work till 2 or 3 in the morning on the mixing and things.
Wow.
'Cause I'm a night person anyway.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But so I did that for a summer, and
so it
actually was a boost for my career because Cindy forced me into because she wanted to be the stay-at-home mom, and our kids are 6 weeks apart. And
Okay.
Yeah. So she was adopting her first, and I was having my first at the same time, and. Yeah, she basically forced me into it, and then people were always, saying, "Oh, you're such a good director. You should teach a class. I wish you would teach a class." And so then I started teaching classes, basically, and I'd engineered over the years tons of other people's classes.
Sure.
So I just stole everything that I learned from them. And
You filtered it through your own understanding to create your own style.
And
do you still teach classes? Excellent. Yeah. I refer people all the time to Voice Trax West for classes and demos, and because I do think it's just been solidly consistent, good stuff. Not gimmicky, just the straight stuff.
In the classes, I tell it like it is, and try to be nice when I'm directing, and
firm when you need to be.
Yeah, but I've done it for a long time now, so I know the tricks and things, and But I do think that having engineered hundreds and hundreds of sessions really gave me that good perspective of what the talent needs to bring to it when the client has given you the direction of, could you just hit that a little bit, or could you warm that up?
What does that mean? Yeah.
So
any actor pet peeves you want to share with us? Things that actors do in the studio that drive you nuts? Listen up, my friends.
Be sure to take off jingly jewelry when you get there. Most of the actors, at least that come to Voice Trax, they're all typically quite professional and know what they're doing.
Good to know.
Nice, and there's very few unpleasant people in this business.
And when there are, they kind of stand out, right? Like, what? There's one of these things. It's not like the other. Yeah.
Always make sure that your clothes don't rustle. Wear a cotton T-shirt, the glory of voiceover. You don't have to dress up. So
that is glorious.
Make sure your clothes don't make noise.
No poplin cotton.
Yeah.
We don't want that scratchy stuff.
Let the engineer set the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
They usually know where it's supposed to go. But also, if there's something that's bugging you, like adjust the music stand. Don't just think because it's way down low that's where it's supposed to be. If there's something that's bugging you, if the microphone's right in the vision of your copy, say something. Don't just do a bad performance or be frustrated for the whole session because you didn't speak up. So
it's true. You got to get what you need.
Be on time.
Be on time.
Be way before on time. You got to get there 10 minutes early, and then you'll be 5 minutes early, and then you'll be ready to go.
Call if you can.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Communication is key.
One of my things that I'm big on in my classes is I always say, never say anything negative about people in this business. So I put those things out of my head so I don't accidentally say negative things about people in this business.
That's very nice, though. But that's good.
Because everybody's interconnected in this business. And
it is a very small circle, isn't it?
Something bad happens, I put it out of my head so that I don't talk about it.
It is time to play Beehive Roulette.
Oh, my.
You'll notice the wheel next to you on the table.
See this?
It's
multicolored.
Yes, with many numbers.
Numbered wheel, yes.
A multi-numbered wheel. Yes, so I have a list of 50 questions here.
Okay.
Which you will not be answering all of them. I do want you to get home in time for dinner.
All right.
But 10 questions. And so what you're going to do is you're going to spin the wheel, give it a good spin, and then we'll pick, you get to pick any one of those numbers in that little box.
Well, my wedding anniversary is the 24th, so let's
Let's go with 24. How do you like your eggs? That's about what these questions are going to be.
Scrambled, really, really well done, or hard-boiled.
All right. No runny yolk for you.
No squishiness. Nope.
I can't have a squishy white of an egg, but I can have
the 7-Eleven egg salad sandwich is amazing.
Is it?
It's so good. I don't know what they do to it, but I have at least once a week. I have the
7-Eleven
egg salad sandwich.
Egg salad sandwich. Is there like what's on it? Do you know? I mean, is it just
egg salad on wheat bread?
On wheat bread with a little lettuce and tomato?
No,
just egg salad.
It's just the egg salad and the bread.
And it's delish.
I love it.
Right on.
$3.49.
$3.49 at your local 7-Eleven.
Yep.
Hey, let's make a radio ad. Okay, give it another spin.
Okay.
They're coming to get you.
35.
Scary movie or happy ending?
Happy ending.
Happy ending.
Scary movies are usually stupid to me.
I don't like them. I don't like scary movies. Life is scary enough. The world is scary. I don't need a scary movie.
I like comedies and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Great. All right.
Got to go with number 1.
Yeah. Were you named after anyone?
I think my mom mentioned at some point, like Susan Hayward. She was already kind of, not a has-been, but she wasn't super popular at the time of my birth. My middle name was my mom's middle name, but I don't usually use that. I use my maiden name as my middle name.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm not very fond of my given middle name.
Oh,
so.
Well, now you have to share it with us.
Yeah, Elaine.
Oh, I love that name.
I don't know.
Susan Elaine. That's beautiful.
I just, for some reason, it always...
All right, here you go, Susan Elaine. Let's roll number 4. I'm going to call you that now. You've really done it.
Good old 50. Poor 50 probably never gets picked since it's the last one.
It always gets picked.
Oh, does it?
Always. It's a very popular one. Name something most people don't know about you.
I play the trumpet.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was a music major. I was a piano major, but a trumpet minor, and I'm actually better at the trumpet than piano. But
just about everybody I know in recording, voiceover, all this stuff has some musical background.
Yeah.
You know, it's all connected. But that trumpet, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
I haven't practiced for a while, but
get on that, Susan Elaine.
I'm pretty good.
All right, number 5. Go ahead.
Number 10.
Do you still have your tonsils?
Yes.
You're intact.
Have massive sinus problems all the time. Probably would have been a good idea to get them out at some point, but not getting
too
it
late.
out now. Nope. They're in there forever.
This is roll number 6.
18.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Mississippi Mud from Baskin Robbins, but it's one of those flavors they only have like once a year, once every 2 years. So
what's in it?
Chocolate
and chocolate things, and
it's like
chunky chocolate things and
things mixed together. So
I'm a big fan of Baskin Robbins peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, I don't like the way the peanut butter gets frozen in there.
Oh, I love that.
Too hard. Yeah,
I like the frozen peanut butter.
I like the chocolate fudge. That's the one they have all the time.
All right, number 7.
We didn't do 12 yet, right? Okay.
Do you like stinky cheese?
Well, the people at my office think that Parmesan is stinky.
Really? Oh, that's so funny.
But the more ones like what is it? Camembert? I don't know.
Camembert, blue cheese, gorgonzola.
I like them on a salad,
but not just like. Let me just slice a piece of that blue cheese and
like if I'm just going to eat a piece of cheese, it's Swiss and cheddar and.
So you're not repelled by it. Some people are like, oh, it's disgusting, and other people would slather it on their bodies, you know. So
yes, all right.
Here's number 8.
19.
What is your least favorite thing about you?
Physically, my nose.
We're all so critical. Oh my gosh.
Personality-wise, is I probably talk about myself too much.
Well, it certainly suits being a guest on a podcast, if that's the case. I never noticed that about you.
And I've been told that I can be blunt, put my foot in my mouth once in a while, but I've learned to live with it. So,
but see, that's a quality. I like bluntness. I like just give it to me straight kind of stuff. But do you like that about yourself? That you're forthright?
Yes.
See, just like you can say I'm blunt. You can say I'm a forthright person. All depends upon how you word it, right? So
yeah. So now next time you see me, you're going to look at my nose. So let's just spin this wheel again.
Is this number 8? Or I think this is 8.
I think you said that one was 8.
Okay. All right. So this
will be 9.
Okay.
4.
Do you like your handwriting?
Yes.
Oh.
I have very nice handwriting.
Very nice handwriting. Excellent.
Yes.
You know, cursive, it's a dying art. Yeah. All right, number 10.
All right.
You're a good spinner.
I think this wheel is fixed. Look, we're on the same one again.
Go ahead and you can do it again.
Okay. We didn't do 22, I don't think, right?
All right, what's the last thing you ate?
Peanut butter sandwich on my way here.
Did you have any jelly on it, or was it just peanut butter and bread?
Peanut butter and bread. You'll sense a trend
I do. I get the trend. Just the thing on the bread.
And bread. And the bread was a little bit stale, so
was it?
Was not.
What kind of peanut butter do you like? Do you have a fave?
I think it was Skippy. Skippy or Jif are both fine.
So creamy or
yes,
chunky?
Creamy.
Creamy. I'm a Laura Scudder chunky.
Laura Scudder's is very good.
Yeah.
I haven't had that for a long
stir it, and it's only.
time.
I eat so much peanut butter. It's ridiculous. But okay, I have one more question for you.
All right.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome. Come on in. Come and meet Jesus and hang out with me.
Fantastic. Fabulous.
And maybe he'll show me where the music room is. So I can...
And could you show me the music room? Susan Palyo, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I so appreciate your perspective. And I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure. People can find you at voicetraxwest.com.
Voicetraxwest.com.
Great.
Voicetrax with an X in the West.
I highly recommend Susan as a demo producer. I truly do. So she's somebody you should check out.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Facebook. I have a Twitter.
You do?
I don't ever Twitter.
Well, you don't tweet?
No.
What's your handle on Twitter? It's Susan Elaine, isn't it?
No. I think it.
Can't remember. Does Voice Trax West have a Twitter account?
Yeah, I think so.
Good luck, everybody, trying to find Susan.
I think my Twitter is 59 Chevy Bel Air, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay. Well, I suggest that you just search her name.
Yeah. And I think I'm the only Susan Palyo on Twitter.
Okay. Palyo.
Right.
SUSAN. Easy
that
enough.
Would be the way to find me on Twitter. Mostly my Twitter is about hockey. So
you didn't even talk about hockey.
Wow.
Next time. Part 2.
Get me going on that. And we'll be here forever.
For a while. I'll serve you dinner. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Kay.
Thanks for joining me today in the Beehive. For podcast notes, pictures, and more information on my guests, visit the podcast website, thebeehivepodcast.com. Find me at my website, kbess.com. Follow me on Twitter at kbess, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. If you've a mind to, please post a review of the podcast on iTunes. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and good for the bones. Come back for more Women in Voiceover next time in the Beehive.